got some time that we could go through some stuff this afternoon. So, did not run out of coffee. Will not be running out of coffee during the live. So, we'll have a nice long session here. But as always, drop your health questions down below. Feel free, no matter where you're from. Let me know where you're from too, where you're tuning in from, and we will get you guys some answers here. See what you could do from a holistic standpoint, whether that be additional labs, supplementation, nutritional things. Let's get a nice little live going here. But yes, some people popping in over on YouTube, over on TikTok. TikTok. Ooh, hello, Jennifer. Dealing with bad bacterial infection, constant tremors. Interesting. I would want you to do something like Oregon grape, 2 weeks on and 2 weeks off. And in that off week rotations, when you're doing 2 weeks of Oregon grape, then you're switching to 2 weeks of oregano oil. And I would probably snag some megabiotic powder as well. So, with those three things, you can work on the microbial aspects. And obviously, these are not just going to target bacterial things, it's going to be breaking up biofilms and doing the good, hefty work without killing off the bad guys. So, or the good guys. You'll kill off bad bacteria without killing off the good ones. And link is in bio for those three. So, megabiotic, oregano oil, and Oregon grape. Oregon grape, like the state of Oregon. Um, yeah, state of Oregon, grape, like a grapefruit, and then the megabiotic. Don't take those when you're taking the Oregon grape or the oregano because it's going to be bringing in new bacteria there, being a heavy probiotic because there's over 100 billion per teaspoon there or per serving in that probiotic. Extremely strong, probably the strongest thing you could find out there. But yeah, you would want to be 2 weeks on, swapping between the Oregon grape and oregano, and then probably around lunchtime because you would want to do at least 2 doses of the others during the day, spread out, and then 1 dose of the mega, but you know more spread out, so that you're doing that basically in at lunchtime, late lunch, somewhere around there. Just not when you're taking the biofilm busters. Hello, Elaine. How you doing? Like I said, we got full brews today, cold brews, as we discuss, as we help you guys out. But yes, obviously, for some people like to get on a call and talk a little bit more that way. So I do complimentary consults. Same thing, link in bio. You can schedule there. But what about chronic constipation due to the gallbladder? I would want to know if you still have your gallbladder, that being the number one detail. Because if you don't, it's going to be a little different there. But okay, so you still have it. Beautiful. Oregon grape is still going to help push the bile there from the liver and gallbladder and stimulate that well. So that's kind of why I mentioned that. Um, you're going to help break down proteins. You're obviously going to push the gallbladder and liver there. With Oregon grape, it's more of a stimulant for the liver, so less of an inhibitory thing. It's more stimulation there. And if the constipation's really that bad, you could do gallbladder complex. But I think if you did the oregano oil, the megabiotic, the Oregon grape, and you did that for 3 months and you cut out gluten, dairy, corn, soys, processed sugar, seed oils, you'd be surprised how you can feel there. But we got to find a starting point for everybody. If you want to jump to getting actual testing done and basically making a blueprint for how to tackle that, link in bio there. Okay, what are you? Check out the channel. YouTube has a whole description on the channel. I don't have time to run through this every day. It's kind of annoying. um, explaining everything like 50 times a day. But yes, not taking shots at you. I'm just saying, it's annoying. Um, where did I miss any here? I did. Hello. He's breaking my heart several times. Any prescription? If you are feeling sad and unloved, you could do this is kind of cool. Something like OSHA root, another liquid herb, kind of like the Oregon grape I mentioned earlier. When I say liquid herb, they just look like this. They're in glass bottles and things. Um, but OSHA, you're going to stimulate oxytocin more than anything. So the love hormone. Um, so whether you're feeling a little nasty to a relationship or feeling lonely and you need some love, you can get it. So kind of cool. Herbal medicine's pretty insane in terms of one, how much people don't know about it, and two, um, that there are options out there. There are ways to do this and not damage your body in the process. So yes, um, Walter Jr. I've gotten that one a bunch. Basically, Walter Jr. without cerebral palsy. Evan Peters, a couple foreign actors that people have been calling me for some reason. Oh no, I ruined the angle on one of my devices here. But yeah, heck yeah. Good question so far. People rolling in with some good stuff here. I love it. I mean, Jennifer, James with the actor thing. Hey, I earlier asked about questions for jaw pain, and I got better. Well, hey, look at that. Got better from the Rex. That's what I'm here for, literally. Um, and we're not even in person to something that's physical like that. How to improve sleep? Best, most cost effective thing is looking at things that you either don't have to pay for or a one time purchase. So if you have an Apple or an Android, going to your color filter settings within the iPhone there and turning the blue light one off. So you could get basically a red blue filter. And how you know that's actually working is you cannot see the color blue. So look out for that. Like if you get an iMessage notification, you can't see them. So basically, all notifications will be kind of unheard of at that point. And that's just something that's free. And you can get more melatonin production every day because most people are just staring at these devices all the time and have blue light just destroying their melatonin production. Serotonin is also tied into this too. So if there's an issue going on in the GI, um, you may not have enough serotonin being created in the first place. So you could do like some St. John's wort during the day. And I would probably want to correct that circadian rhythm a little bit from a supplementation standpoint too. So St. John's during the day can kind of correct some of that circadian rhythm. You can do melatonin and probably alcidonia at night if it is really bad. Like for my night shift workers that need to, I mean, honestly, they quit their jobs most of the time when they're under my care because I'm very convincing that it's a type 2 carcinogen. So for like a night shift worker that needs to completely change their sleep schedule, melatonin for James here and alcidonia, Alcedonia. Link is in bio there. Of course, if you're in the US, you can get them. Outside the US, they don't allow people to do that. So it's kind of annoying, but yes. What about heavy legs? My father is struggling to walk. I would wonder if he's on any blood pressure medications that could be changing potassium, because that's something I see a lot. Is people will be on some cardiac medication that will lower potassium, and through that, your legs are going to feel like jello. Even like going up a flight of stairs, simple movements that you need muscle tissue for. Um, Noba has urinating issues. Okay, some more prostate type things. I wonder if there's like frequent urination issues. Sometimes there can be medication changing the electrolyte balance there. So that why I mention that is that can contribute and create uh, the symptom of having weakness and things like that. So just easy starting place to look. But potassium citrate could be deficient there. Um, Protein intake, caloric intake, muscle stimulation too. Things like vibration plates, rebounders, even for the bladder health and strengthening the bladder walls, things like that too. Um, how are stents used? I do not perform surgery, so okay, wait. Where had a night shift? Do you suggest for people working in a night shift? What do you suggest? Sleep's fine, but it affects my recovery in the gym. Certainly, I mean, your brain is you're a human being, so you're assuming that you're a human being. Your body's programmed to be awake when the sun's out and to go to sleep when it's not. This is why people that live in the north will experience some changes with weight, experience some changes with energy, and even mood because of that light reception changing or that total light time availability versus somebody that lives in Florida, right? People in Florida are always happy. They're always outside on the beach, soaking up the sun. So, supplementation for a night shift worker, this is really just going to try and combat the damage being done by working overnight. So, you know, melatonin like crazy, probably some ashwagandha in there too for just some heat shock proteins and uh, supporting the hypothalamus there. But tons of antioxidants, sauerkraut, berries, but everybody's going to kind of adapt in different ways. So that would be my broad ideas there. Okay, got a migraine question. Depends on what's causing that because that can be from dehydration, that can be from some mental stress components, malabsorption issues in the GI, immune regulation, constant immune triggers like that. You're going to have an inflammatory battle constantly. So I would be curious for more details here. Whoa. Yeah. Izzy. Night shift working, 9 years. Catches up, that's for sure. But supporting the brain, supporting the hypothalamus, pituitary. That way you can just regulate those things back to normal. I mean, melatonin is highly overlooked. I think reishi, I think even adrenal glandular, especially in the morning. I have a ton of this on the shelf right now, actually. Adrenal glandular, liver and adrenal tissue within that capsule. Obviously, grass fed, grass finished things, bovine tissue, so cows. But for people that are dragging in the morning, if you do probably starting with somewhere around 2 capsules of adrenal glandular, if that's not kicking it too much, you could go up to 4, um, and you'll see a big change there. And it's not just during the time that you're taking it; it's actually rebuilding these tissues. So, also the highest food in vitamin C on the whole planet is adrenal glands. Fun fact. Camu's a lot in there too, but Dave's Killer Bread, no. There's wheat in there. That's like the number one ingredient. A2 milk, not if it's pasteurized. So, um, thought I already answered these. What would be your next test if ESR was 33? You got to figure out why you're inflamed. That basically tells me you're inflamed, Kelly. Um, early on support you could do is something like albizia and turmeric tinctures. So again, have to be in liquid form. So make sure make sure that link in bio there. But that's just step one. Albizia, turmeric. I would probably want to test for food so that we could have you gain a lot more control in regards to what's coming into the system, I would want to know where your sugars are at. I would want to know where your lipid panel's at, where vitamin D is, where some of that GI regulation is too. So, but yes, it's really an inflammatory issue going on, and we got to find those sources, which is usually done through testing. That's the easiest way. But feel free to give us more history or get a free consult through the link in bio. Am I Spanish? No, I'm a full blown Italian. I know the name is kind of close, but okay. Where did we leave off? So migraine from last week, but nothing helping. So I would want you to add salt to your water, probably using some potassium citrate plus albizia and maybe wellness B complex too. That way we cover B vitamin deficiencies, get dilation of the blood vessels, calm histamine responses down, and get electrolytes back. And that is probably the most practical starting point there. So if not, I would look into food. Daughter has low IgA levels in her stomach. So you could do aloe vera juice. That's something that you could get at a Whole Foods, pretty much any health food grocery store or health food store. Paired with, I don't have it on my table here, but I have it up front, chamomile tincture as well, along with slippery elm. So just with those three things, you'll change the IgA barriers. You'll stimulate goblet cells within the intestinal lining to create more mucus, and through that you get a protective immune barrier because our mucus linings that line our eyes and our nose and our mouth and our GI all the way through, if you know what I mean, that needs mucosal protection. And it's often that people get sick in the winter, just to kind of side tangent this to connect a point. When people get dried out in the nasal passages in the mouth, we get super dry in the winter, especially when you have heat on, and you lose that immune barrier, that protective immune barrier. So, cold and flu season, it's like low vitamin D, too much sugar, low mucosal barrier season. It's not flu season. So, anyways, best energy to get in the morning is to work out. That's right. That's right. What's the issue with wheat? If you're in the US, it's terrible. Terrible. Since when? What the heck are you talking about? India, it's banned in India. Goat milk? I don't know the context of the goat milk comment there, but let me know down below. Only reason I could think is I have PCOS. So some sugar handling going on. This is where gymnema, the sugar destroyer, will change sweet receptors. It will change how insulin is created and stimulate basically the beta cells of the pancreas to function at full capacity and not overdo sugar. Can even help with removing yeast out of the GI because of that relationship with sugar. So gymnema, fantastic. And pairing that with white peony, now you can work on the insulin issue, which is where PCOS comes from. Um, and white peony, gymnema, white peony, you can work on conversion of that testosterone down to the estrogens. I would like to support with maybe something like Sasandra as well. So figure some gymnema, white peony, Sasandra. Now you work on the insulin factors and the conversional aspects of those hormonal changes, and you can get that to regulate, Miss Kelly. So yes, pretty cool. Where? Why does TikTok scroll me to the bottom? Hi. Hello. Why do I sometimes feel a sharp pain in the chest and back? Could be a visceral somatic um, tissue response. So that's when you have a visceral pain signal in an organ that goes to somewhere physically. Commonly with shoulder pains, things like that, stomach, gallbladder, depending on what side it is. Um, Obviously, the heart is also a connection point there too, but it would kind of depend on some history beyond that. So let us know. Type 2 diabetes beside metformin. I love Oregon grape and gymnema. Those two can be taken long term. Link is in bio there. I would just start with those two for right now. That'll change you quite a bit. Thanks, Tinor. Same Italian here. Very nice. Dad's fresh off the boat. Oh, dang. Izzy's an OG. Izzy is an OG. Okie doke. Let's get back to our. No, I'm asking like the problems with wheat, at least in America. You have soil, you have the genetics of the wheat being planted itself, you have the glyphosate rounds being sprayed, not once, but twice, uh, even like right when it's done picking or being harvested. Terrible. Plus, the effects on the GI. It'll, I mean, microbial imbalances and the consumption of gluten are the only two reasons intestinal permeability or leaky gut is existing. So, yeah, that's why. Uh, but there's other alternatives, even like rice-based bread. Perfect. So PCOS most likely elevating the ESR. I mean, there's an inflammatory process going on that is changing the hormonal responses in your body um, as a byproduct. So it's really the insulin issue, changing the immune system, changing the way the liver behaves, making you have some fatty liver probably too, with triglycerides and A1C changing, insulin changing. So yeah, um, but still same answers. Gymnema, Wapini, start there. Maybe even Oregon grape if you want to throw that in. I've been saying that one a lot today. I feel like these lives kind of go with sort of a rhythm there. But either way, I also like doing the complimentary consult as well. That way, I could just know more about the whole story there. Because sometimes you guys have tried some things, or you've had recent blood work done, and I could look at that, make things way easier. Hello. Oh man, shoulder hurts. Can't lift my arm. Limited movement. Doc said it's frozen shoulder. I would want to know if you're female in menopause, because there are connections with some of the estrogens influencing inflammatory joint issues, things like that. So that's something I see a lot. Me being, because I deal with joints physically here too, but something like black cohosh, it would kind of depend. Let us know if you're a woman in menopause. Be cool if I guessed that too. I tend to do that on here. Heck yeah. Okay. Okay. There we are. Sometimes I lose my place on here and I'm like, where the hell are we? So, Izzy, I can't tell if it's a small L or if it's an I. Let us know if it's Izzy or Lizzie. I don't know. But should I go to the doc to check? You can. You certainly can. Show more on the CRP. I love CRP as a marker too. Do I believe in lymphatic drainage? I mean, your lymph system drains, and if you can help it out, if there's more toxicity coming in, I myself, if I get a terrible night of sleep and I jump on the rebounder for like 2.5, 3 minutes, I already feel better. Even pairing that with an inversion table, stacking that with a vibration plate, now you're like fully awake. Haven't even had coffee yet. So, all right, I'm going to switch arms. There we go. Mm, walk a little, I'm having shortness of breath. Um, I would wonder some medication things that could be going on here, but feel free to give us more details on the stent thing. I mean, nitric oxide 40, Neo 40, fantastic. Uh, fantastic in terms of blood vessel dilation, repairing of the blood vessel walls as well. I also like K2 in there for mobilizing calcium because I would want to know if you've had a calcium score done. I would love to know that. Fermented foods, things like sauerkraut, pickled veggies, fermented veggies, dominant. And basically, cofactors, enzymes, nutrients, things that are going to help you repair some of those blood vessel walls, but even help them with blood pressure, help them with things from a microbial standpoint, because there's a lot of immune system involvement with every chronic condition. That's every condition starts with inflammatory process. That is what I focus on. If you could just figure out the inflammatory process taking place, the body's going to take care of it. So, I mean, for the shortness of breath directly, can you do like OSHA? But I feel like this is more of a mineral connection here and a blood vessel involvement. So, I wish I would have studied holistic health. I mean, yeah, it sounds like you were maybe a nurse or something. So, that's not a bad thing at all. It's we have different jobs and it works differently. So, but it's just a different set of tools, really, and learning a lot about plants. What about iron overload? Typically, that's going to be a liver issue because you cannot convert those things down and metabolize red blood cells. So I see this more in guys or some menopausal women that are having some liver issues, but mainly guys because we don't cycle. So we're not getting rid of red blood cells when, like females, when you guys have your cycle. So it tends to build up. I do like milk thistle because it will directly help you metabolize those red blood cells out. But depending on how high it is, if it's like extremely high, then you want to get phlebotomy, therapeutic phlebotomy done. So great question though. Yes, Izzy like busy. I'll call you busy from now. I think it's funnier. All right. Where did we leave off? The lymphatic thing. Hello. Some people saying hey. Oh, I keep dropping all my stuff here. Here we go. Okay, cool. Um, Somebody says, "What's up?" Hey, what's up? D dimer high, no heart issues. Um, I don't know what that was in response to. Sorry. Opinion on limb lengthening heightens the surgery. What do we got? A clav viewer here. Swear by evening primrose oil for perimenopause. Been taking it since I was 19. Good for you. Yeah, I mean, when people are headed toward menopause, there's going to be different issues that could take place. You can have production issues, you can have conversion issues. There can be issues with the adrenals now affecting production with the estrogens because estrogen is not a hormone. So there's 9 different estrogens in their metabolites that I would want to look for. And that's through blood and urine hormone testing so that you could see, again, production and conversion of those things. Um, but there's so much that could be involved there. A lot is reliant on the liver and the adrenals and the ability to utilize your fats. And yeah, I see that paired in with a lot of gallbladder issues, things like that. Okay, wait, I missed a question on YouTube. I'm a vegetarian. Can I safely consume a soybean? How much protein would be good for somebody with medium to high intensity workouts, like 4 to 5 times a week? Soy is going to be a little bit rough, especially if you're a guy. It's going to be more estrogenic there. If you could get a fermentable form of the soy, that'd be great. But I would just stick to um, beef protein there, grass-fed and finished beef protein, by far best source. Why are my ducks not worried about my reactive lymph nodes that haven't moved for 2 years? Kelly, this is more information that we did not know before. That that's definitely a piece of this. Um, there's probably some microbial involvement, whether that be a mycoplasma infection, which could just be an overgrowth of your own bacteria. There can be opportunistic infections, so it kind of depends. Those can live in the GI very commonly, but yeah. So, so it's sorry, my husband has high cholesterol. Okay, we'd have to figure out why. Um, Hi, Doc. Called obsession with you. It's funny. Can be my new doc. We certainly can. Certainly can. I think you said you were in. I forget what state you said you were from, but about half my schedule is remote, so no problem there. Hello, Maria. How we doing, Mr. Tony? A lot of people saying hey. Hello. 41-year-old male had a calcium cardiac score of 0. Nice. Nice. Even with high cholesterol. So I mean high cholesterol. Um yeah. That's a whole discussion in itself, but that's really Google functions of cholesterol. Just look up what it does and let me know if you don't want any of those functions. Because we're taught that there's a good and a bad version of cholesterol. It's like, okay, with that form of thinking, why don't we just remove all the calcium in our bodies if that's what's found in arterial plaquing and things? Why don't we remove all the foam cells since those are also found within those plaques? There's an inflammatory response that takes place, and you can't blame cholesterol for showing up to the job site trying to fix it. That makes no sense at all. But there's a reason why it's high, and you have to figure out that reason. Sugar, huge portion of it, as well as immune factors there too. So I would wonder how high it is, what's high, and other symptoms going on. Okay, let's go back to where we were. I've been on 2.5 milligrams for 5 years, tapered off. Getting headaches, anxiety. When will it go? So, if you're not supporting to rebuild those aspects, then it's going to take probably forever, especially coming off something like that. So, I would do some Akuna seed in the morning, some St. John's wort, and probably some Osha in the evening, and maybe even like passion flower or something like that too, just so you can have more of the things that would wake you up in the morning: dopamine, norepinephrine, some of the functions of the adrenals, and then at night you're getting more of oxytocin, GABA production, things like that. So if I need to slow down with some of the names of these things, let me know. I think that's a common thing that happens on my lives here. People are like, slow down. So I'll slow it down as best we can. Look at Izzy giving us some flowers. Ask if he has a brother. I do not. I do not. No brothers. Um, Missed the response for the D dimer. Honestly, I didn't really get the question there. Um, I feel like I misunderstood it. But yes, feel free to ask that one again. What about mitochondrial dysfunction due to autoimmune disorders, such as RA mixed with connective tissue? I mean, I think that's more social media teaching you some things there, teaching you some things in the wrong direction, because mitochondrial dysfunction will happen when there's any inflammatory responses occurring. So, yeah, I think it's toxicity and deficiencies from chronic immune issues. And those chronic inflammatory issues can change neurological systems, the GI, hormonal systems, because it's primary. Nervous and immune systems are primary. So that's where you have to start the search in terms of figuring out why the mitochondria have dysfunction. Um, and that's, I mean, how else would it work? Because if you don't figure out why there's dysfunction there, which is from an autoimmune process, which will create a deficiency or lead you to be toxic in something. So, at the very basis, your body is trying to adapt to things that go on with mental stress, things that go on with chemical stressors, which can be air, food, water, things you put on your skin, things you all the things you can put on or in your body, and physical stress being things you can do physically to your body or not. Even lack of exercise is a negative stressor. So that's really the only three that exist. If you think of another one, let me know. Um, I would love to know. But yeah, and I'm not taking shots at your question. I'm just trying to change the framework through which we're thinking here because, I mean, we can't just say mitochondrial dysfunction and stop there, is basically what I'm saying. Yes, are they dysfunctional? Very much. But why? You know? Um, is it all adding up now since I've told you some things? Yes. Yeah. And I mean, it starts by supporting your metabolic activity with sugar. That's why I mentioned gymnema earlier and white peony, because that's going to help your liver, your pancreas, your gallbladder, and obviously the hormonal changes there too. So start with those two, and we could do a complimentary consult as well. So check around. It is adding up though. Plus the lymph issues. So, oh yes, North Carolina. Charlotte. Hello. South Africa. What do you think about those injectables? Not good things. Oh my goodness. I ended up with embolisms, pacemaker, gained 20 kg. So I would want you to be doing some turkey tail at the very least, along with natal kinase from fermented soy. So you could break up clots there, and probably K2 as well. So you're not sending a bunch of calcium into the bloodstream. You want to direct that to the bone, pull that to the bone. So I also love the fermented veggies here too, like crazy. They'll do similar things, but um, great question. Joke. Um, where are we at? Okay, TikTok freaking chat throws me off like crazy. My goodness, it like scrolls to the bottom, then I gotta go back up, find where we were. Izzy, well, beside intelligent factor, soothing, steady voice, you have me a follower. Actually, I guess I'm kind of harder on myself in that fashion. I hate the freaking tonations I have sometimes. I sound too, I don't know, too like I've said it 1,000 times, which is true. I have said a lot of these things repeatedly, but they freaking work. They freaking work. I do it on people every day. So yeah, you guys are getting this stuff for free. People for a 20-minute consult, it's $375 to speak to me. So I would I would ask all the questions you have right now, online stores and bio. And if it is too complex for us to talk through it, I'll let you know. But um, there's a starting point for everybody. So uh, yes, beautiful. And it's only 375 if you do the full price. It's really 275. So, but that's not the first appointment. First appointment's $99 unless you go with the free one. Anyways, I'll stop with promos. Um, ID Dimer, no heart issues. I would want to know vaccine history here for the ID Dimer. Heavy metals, Jennifer. I don't know if you were responding to the comment above, but could totally be involved there. Uh, in regards to heavy metals, though, like if you're just asking that question separately, that isn't a place I start typically because, it's going to be hidden in fat tissues. So if you run a heavy metal test, unless you like were vaccinated yesterday, it's really not going to show up with things. So a lot of people don't know that. So it's kind of frustrating. I sometimes have to talk people out of doing that test because it's like, hey, this is a 200 something dollar lab. We could put this money in a better lab. But obviously, if somebody really wants something, I'm not going to restrict you. It is your body. Let's test your freaking body for what you want to see. But yeah, I mean, in terms of the heavy metal story, if you are covering deficiencies that you have, you are supporting the immune system, you're doing medicinal mushrooms, good things like that, you're gonna move them out of the body. I do like ACZ zeolite and something like chlorella, um, maybe coconut charcoal. Those are kind of my three favorites that I use. I have bloating problems. Every time I eat food, my stomach stretches. Okay. Um, Albesium, chamomile, great starting point. Two herbs that you could get, and they're going to work on the histamine responses, H2 receptors in the stomach. Get some IgA secretions there too, so that you have a good mucosal barrier. And there's other effects on other systems too. It'll affect the brain, it'll affect dilation of the kidneys, things like that. But can you do some digestible enzymes? Yes, certainly. But let's just start there. We got to work within the budgets. So why would ESR be 33? Because you're inflamed. You're inflamed. That's exactly why. You've chronic inflammation. That's why. And that's from high sugar, that's from toxicity, being deficient in things. So, um, gymnema, white peony, same answers. Ooh, somebody asks if they're on hormonal birth control. That's a good question there too. Izzy, peace out. Is burning or hot sensations in the chest common for sarcoidosis with lumps in the lymph nodes? I haven't heard that descriptor, to be quite honest. So, entirely possible, but that alone won't tell me that. Is the lower jaw the most common kind of asymmetry in real life? I don't know. Um, I deal a lot more with the spine, the pelvis, things like that. Yeah. Dylan says oats. If you talk about the oats test, um, great test. If you talk about the nutrient or the food, not a good thing. I would not be doing oats ever, unless you're like a bodybuilder. Do you do a hair mineral testing? It's not worth it. Until they have high lead. Yeah, hair analyses aren't that great, to be quite honest. Um, I would want to support your liver though. That's what's going to help get these things out. So, how about burning feet for diabetic? Is it vitamin deficiency? 1,000,000%. Vitamin B2, fat soluble B2 is probably the best thing you can get. Pair that with a wellness B complex, and you'll get overnight change. Obviously, you have to reduce your sugars and get your fiber up, get your protein up, reduce your calories, all those things to move your body. I'm trying to go a little more rapid fire with these because you guys have been pretty consistent with the questions. Sometimes I ramble. I get it. Sometimes I ramble on a bit, but either way. Thank you. Just trying to make sense of it. Um, I mean, yeah, most people are going to just start assuming the worst, but I think chronically inflamed and it's about getting inflammation down now. Got to start supporting the body. Yes. Health, the food. Why not oats? Higher glycemic index than Coca Cola. That's why. Hola. I cannot speak any other languages. That's a good question, though. I just do supplementation, lifestyle recs, nutritional things, lab recommendations. So I do not prescribe medications. Best things for leaky gut. Early support, chicory root inulin, just for the amount of soluble and insoluble fiber there. And you could build up short chain fatty acids like crazy, helping with the barriers of the GI. You also need IgA support too. So I like doing something like chamomile. That's why I talk about that one a ton on here. So some chicory root, inulin, you can do some chamomile. Um, I would do digestive glandular. That way, you get those enzymes and organ meats that are associated with the GI tract. You can take those into the system and build off that. Um, and probably either Oregon grape or some betaine HCl. But I would need to know a little more about you. No, he's Italian. That's true. It's certainly true. It's in the name, folks. Can appear Spanish. If I let my facial hair grow out a little bit, I look Spanish as hell. So I don't blame you guys. Oh my goodness. Now all the people in here are Spanish. What the hell is up with TikTok's algorithm's kind of nuts. I'll mention like burritos and then five people come in here talking about burritos. It's like, what the heck's going on? Like still working. Got some battery deficiencies here. No problemo. Confused me the whole time he worked with me. This guy loves a good fiesta. I know this is Brad. This has got to be Brad on the account. Actually, it could be Jesse too. I don't know. I'm just feeling Brad on that one. What should I do? Like if I'm right? Like it if it's true? But yes. We're going to try and do a crazy long live today. I'm going to go as long as I can. I got a bunch of coffee here. Obviously, I'll need some pee breaks, but hopefully you'll forgive me. But yes, started working over there in Wisconsin. I actually loved Wisconsin. It was dirt cheap to live there. It's great. Nice wide open farmland. I'm a fan. I'm more of a country dweller than a beach person or a city person. I don't know. Too many people. Too many people. Things like that. Dysbiosis. So similar to the question you asked earlier. There's going to be dysbiosis on most occasions when there's bloating going on. Um, but in general, you want to think of this as opportunistic infections have overgrown a little bit. So starting with some less aggressive digestive bitters, Oregon grape, another superpower here, and probably some uva ursi, switching those on and off. Um, I obviously like to replenish with some probiotics there, maybe CY complex or megabiotic to follow those up outside of the dosage of the liquid herbs. But yeah, probably starting from there, and it kind of depends on how the progression of things go. I would probably do uva ursi, Oregon grape, um, switching on and off, switching those every 2 weeks, supporting with stomach acid there, and maybe some dandelion root for the small intestine and liver. And I would do that for probably 3 months and then check back on things. Um, last question from Jim. Yeah, I mean, you want to look to the GI and testing the immune cells on this one. So looking at things like natural killer cells, other forms of T cells, B cells, so that you could see where that immune response is. Because if it's not enough, it's you're going to have things come and affect the body like this. So, um, what do you think about bone broth? That's a fantastic one too. Even in regards to Jen's question there, if you're doing like a bone broth protein or drink that way, you will get some of the building blocks for your own bones, and those are what create B cells. That's how they named B cells from bone. So directly supporting a top-down approach with the immune system. I also like astragalus. I love turkey tail. I love reishi mushroom, things like that. Um, Still answering Jen's question here too, but yeah, I think GI and immune system connections there. Ooh, Ashley. Hello, allergic to penicillin, but they gave me amoxicillin for strep throat, and I can't take it. So, I mean, some things that you could do. This one is not fun, but it is very cost effective. You can You got to be very careful with how much garlic you're doing this with, but you can take a little tiny piece of garlic, probably chop a few tiny little pieces up, and one by one, you want to chew them and let them hit the area of the strep throat. Just try and keep them further back in the mouth because garlic can lead to some chemical burns there if you basically have too big of a piece. So start with very, like, I'm talking tiny, tiny amounts. Um, you can gargle obviously with some salt water, things like that. Maybe even using some of the herbal throat spray. Link in bio there. Um, so herbal throat spray, chewing up some tiny, tiny little pieces of garlic, and maybe doing some mouthwash with aloe vera juice, gargling with that too. Um, and it probably wouldn't hurt to break open a little bit of an oregano oil capsule and like the hydrogen peroxide there too. So mixing salt water with hydrogen peroxide, fantastic. I would chew up little pieces of garlic, do some herbal throat spray from us too. That way you're getting a good coating over everything, but can do some oregano oil. Um, what's it called too? But yeah, that strep overgrows from it being in the GI. So, I mean, my first thing is going to be, can we look further into the immune system because it's overgrowing for a reason, and it starts within the lower parts of your belly there. How can I eat less? I love food, but I get stomach ache if I eat or overeat. It sounds like. Stick to your proteins first. You want to jack up protein like crazy. Also, fiber will help you mitigate a lot of the glucose coming in there too. I would cut a lot of the complex carbs out as much as you can. I would only be getting my sugar from berries. I would be cutting out as many grains as possible, starting with proteins and fats and really focusing on those, and then acidifying the stomach so that you can break down those foods better. And it may be some signaling issues with pancreas or even within the brain too about satisfaction and when you're truly hungry. So if that's a piece of it, then it's going to be a little bit different. But start with acidifying the stomach, getting the proteins start to be corrected there. But if you've already done some of those things, let us know because there can be more details. Okay, just about ready for a coffee refill. Saltwater burns bad. Um, you could do that with aloe vera juice. That's going to be really raw then. Yeah, aloe vera juice is probably going to be like putting ice on a bruised something, It'll feel great. But all right, I'm going to do halftime and get some more coffee. We'll be back. I'm not turning anything off. I'll be back in like a minute. So. Alrighty. Cool. Actually gonna do a little bit of Makuna seed here too, live in action for the folks at home, because this will kick in probably about 30 minutes from now. Will allow us to catapult forward on this live and answering you guys' questions here. So, coffee is refilled. Cheers, folks. Mhm. Okay, we talked about some of maintaining some caloric regulations here. Let's see if I had any questions come in. I don't think I answered this one. After flying, I have pins and needles in my legs and my feet and burning. So I mean, it can be some physical issue there with some nerve root endings. Um, there's also ties to excess sugars too, just because it takes a lot of, especially B1, to maintain a high sugar intake. So when that starts to get depleted, you will get neuropathy symptoms. Because B1 is helping with the nerve end roots there. I do like some inversion tables, vibration plates, prone press ups, rebounders, just good things to be moving the entire body through that create either a compressive or distractive force, sometimes both, that can give some relief there. But again, vitamin B1, highly missed, probably even something like Gym Number 2, but I would want to know where your sugars are at, where some of the blood work is, and that'll help us determine some more things here. So, but um, yeah, that there's definitely a connection there. Oh my goodness, my eyes are burning. Gotta blink more. Actually, need to get some blue light glasses soon. You know, working on these darn computers all day long definitely affects it. Definitely. So, but yeah, man, what else we got? Um, let's see, YouTube. I think we covered all of those. So we're all caught up over here. I think we're all caught up over here. Sunshine says hello. You are Dr. Four. Hello, Daniel. How we doing? What's up, people? Let me know where you're tuning in from. We got the second half of the live coming in hot. Took some Akuna seed, so I'll have a ton of dopamine very soon. That way we can rapid fire through all your guys' questions. I only took a half dose, so shouldn't be speaking too fast, you know. But mm, missed my whole freaking mouth there. Laney, how we doing? Spilled coffee. Sadness. Um, Danielle from the UK. Hello. Lane tuning in from the West Coast. How's it going? How do you use the relax powder? I usually just throw it in some water, make it taste good, depending on the flavor you got. I like the cherry one, to be honest. Cherry one's pretty good. All right. Yes, certainly. Nice. You won it on a giveaway. Beautiful. Um, like an hour before bed. I would, if it's the relax powder, I wouldn't even do it before bed. I would do it more during the most stressful point of the day, because you're gonna probably poop a bunch. So, just to let you know, The relax powders magnesium citrate, so your bowels are gonna be very hydrated, and they will have to empty very quickly. So, um, Ashley, hello. I'm allergic to. Okay, I thought we talked through that one. Oh dear. Recommend Optimin now. Um, I like something like male glandular. That way, you're getting liver, heart tissue, bull testicle all in there, and you can build up hormonal changes, things to cover deficiencies as well. But my foot to here, and all I hear shenanigans, more shenanigans from you. It appears. Ugh, this freaking chair is more uncomfortable than ever. Need to do my vibration plate. Shake her up. Yes, it is citrate. It is not glistening. So we'll change the bowels there. Certainly. In a good way. Not in a bad way. It's just gonna you might feel a little bubbly. You feel a little bubbly. Poops would be super easy. Um ooh, white urine. Jeez. Not good. Go to doc in person. Does glycinate calm and relax you more? Mm, it's just what system is being relaxed. It's not more or less. It's just GI versus muscle tissue. It's what you're trying to uh, help the body calm down with. But yeah, citrate. You're gonna. That's a big one. I'm a big fan. Hi, my question. I have IBS and gut issues. Tried Buscopan. What do you recommend? I would do some testing to figure out why you're having IBS and why you're having some of these issues. Early on, you can do. I talk about this all the time. Albizia, chamomile, turmeric. Things are going to help histamine responses, getting inflammation down, rebuilding barriers within the GI, and calming that GI system. Converting things out, making sure you're pooping well. But that doesn't mean Albizia, chamomile, turmeric forever. That means in the meantime, as we're working on all that, making you feel good, getting the responses back to normal, you do have to find the triggers for it, being food, GI, infections that could go on there. You can have barrier disruption. There's a heck of a lot. Microbial changes there too, in regards to pre and probiotics. So, is probiotic a good thing? It can be for some people, but for others, it's too much because you can have an overgrowth of your own probiotics. And now you're going to add to that and make it worse. So, you know, testing's key. I would first start with Albizia, chamomile, turmeric, link in bio there. If you want to jump on a complimentary consult as well, you can um, using that same website. But the key here is to get the labs done so that you know, and we have a blueprint of what we're doing, and just to support you in the best way possible and know exactly what to do. What can cause insomnia? Usually, some circadian rhythm patterns that have been thrown off. I think the phone has a lot to do with this because you're going to deplete melatonin looking at this thing. So, investing in some blue light glasses. True Dark is a great brand. Um, so that's a big one. It's just the blue light exposure because that's going to inhibit melatonin secretion. So, like I said a little bit earlier, it can be a lack of serotonin production. If in that case, you having that GI issue, the IBS, that makes total sense. You don't have enough neurotransmitters. Um, Serotonin converts into melatonin. So, yeah, it's probably a combination of blue light with the chronic inflamed GI, disrupting neurotransmitters, disrupting nutrient absorption, and now we have patterns that are being thrown off. How you correct that early on is melatonin, high dose melatonin. Um, And I would start there. If you need Alcydonia, you can do that too, but that's where I would begin, at least. I haven't had a solid bowel movement since 1985 when Reagan was president. Dang, during Iran Contra time. You put that very funny, by the way. Um, I guess if bowels are thrown off there, okay, I haven't had a solid one. You could do some chicory root inulin, link in bio there, even if you're on YouTube. Just because that'll give you a ton of soluble and insoluble fiber to help you formulate some stool there. And I would do, if you're a guy, probably some milk thistle. That way you can work on the gallbladder, the liver, convert a lot of those things out of the body. Um, I hate burping on stream. Sorry. I've had just a small lunch so far today, so I'll be burping. Funny. I don't know. Not too into the news. Owning a clinic takes quite a bit of the time that I have, you know? Really no time to spend online. Unless I'm posting things or going live or doing stuff like that, I really don't know too much about the news, to be honest. Just trying to help. Give away value like crazy every day. So, good questions, people. Where am I from? I'm from New Jersey. New Jersey, in the US. What about you? Are you from the US? Let us know. Hey, Erica. Nice. Now live in Atlanta. What the? Atlanta, how would you leave us here? How would you leave us here in New Jersey? It's about the energy. The energy, and honestly, New York energy is pretty good too, but zinc, it was all zinc. Ethnicity wise, I'm Italian. Very much. Very much Italian. Couldn't tell from the name. I come back way too often. I miss the ocean. Flying in soon. Nice. Lovely. Hello, Megan. How you doing? Uh, where are you from? If you want to tell me, New Jersey. New Jersey. I keep saying this. I'm from New Jersey, guys. So you don't know about Epstein files. Such an unaware person. Thanks, Bonnie. Much love. Hello, how are you? Doing well. How are you? Question about gabapentin. How to taper off 600 milligrams a day. I don't prescribe medications, so not the best person to ask. Because that's going to be, you're going to need some attention there in terms of titering the dose and things like that. But hello from Albania. Hello. I have a good buddy from Albania, and his name is Albie. So I know Glenn's like, dang it, what the heck? I thought you were answering health questions, but it's nice to. Oh, it's your birthday. Nice. Or tomorrow is your birthday. Um, thanks, Melissa. Maybe I don't know. I don't know. Sort of focused on them, you know. I'm preoccupied, dialed into their health. Oh, your friend's name is Albie as well. That's pretty creepy. I mean, Albania, Albie. It's like how original, you know. But either way, well, hey, good stuff, people. I Probably going to jump off for a little bit just because I have to fill some orders. I saw a bunch of people scheduled um, appointments in there too. So if you guys are trying to get complimentary consults or jump right into care, get some testing done, have some recommendations from a holistic point of view, rebuild your body from the inside out, let me know. Can you explain how you become sensitive to food you were eating currently? Typically, you're going to get too many stressors that create an inflammatory response, and now you start to lose function because your body is trying to constantly adapt to things in the world all day long. All day long, um, you're trying to adapt to things. So if you consume the same foods over and over, and now you get a couple nights of sleep that were off, you eat too much sugar here and there, vitamin D gets a little too low, you're eating some pizza, you're having some gluten, some wheat, and over time, these are going to be mental, chemical, physical stressors that change the environment internally. So you can lose enzymatic function, you could become deficient in things, or you can have an excess of toxicity that you're having trouble getting rid of in the body, and that's creating gut permeability. And now food proteins are slipping through the GI, you get bloated, get inflamed. Some people will throw up, as extreme as that. Some people will develop new food allergies that they've never had. Um, but there's a microbial component to that too, and then how strong that immune response is. So, checking vitamin D, checking B cells, T cells, checking the GI is where you can make the biggest impact. But yeah, I had a food test done. Now I can't eat the stuff I thought was safe. I don't know what to do. Well, there should be a list of foods that were okay. I would wonder the total number that was on there. That could help a lot with the info that's needed for the repair work. But for trash, send me a message on here. I'll give you my email. I'll look over that lab and we could talk it through. Give you a little freebie there. Another Albie for sure. That would be kind of funny if they were the same person, right? Okay. What do you think about colloidal silver for postnasal drip? I do love it. I love it. You know, I do also love strengthening some mucosal barriers. I think that's way overlooked. Probably colloidal silver nasal spray with some chamomile, slippery elm in there too. That way you can build up good mucosal membranes and not have, or you can thicken up the mucus a little bit. That way it's not dripping down so easily, like with common allergies and things like that. So you'll actually have a way better time blowing your nose and things like that too, because your mucus is gonna stick together. But heck yeah, beautiful, beautiful stuff, folks. Okay, honey, it will be. Pizza is a code word. Whoa, that is not the type of pizza that we're talking about here. I'm talking about like wheat, gluten. That's what I'm talking about. Yes, I do know an Albie, a fellow Albie. What could daily headaches that meet migraine criteria but not excruciating pain be? You could be deficient in some things. You can also have a little bit too much toxicity in things too. So start with your electrolytes, start with your minerals. I also like some ginkgo. Ginkgo and gotu kola paired together have more of a synergistic effect there, and you can get a lot of dilation within the brain. So you want to look for chronic inflammatory issues. That is number one. It's a primary system, changes all the other systems. But in the meantime, you can do ginkgo and gotu kola. Lincoln Bow. Can only sleep 2 to 3 hours. Always wake up CPAP doesn't help. Melatonin doesn't either. You need to change the source of melatonin. Um, Poorly sourced melatonin won't work. So there's that. And then probably pairing that with alcidonia. Again, GABA's in there, passion flower, L-theanine, and B6 too. So that you can have all of the most calming, basically constituents that there are on the planet for the human body and calm it right down and have good effects with all those things there. I don't even know what that means, my friend. Diastema. Interesting. But yeah, um, tachycardia. There's a couple things that can happen here. You could be deficient in magnesium. I've seen deficiencies in potassium as well. Um, Too much caffeine intake, too much stimulants like nicotine as well, too much sugar. So lessening the stimulants, giving your body some minerals there, potassium, sodium, magnesium. We're constantly getting depleted in those. Plus, though, if it is more of a kind of an adrenaline thing or like a cortisol issue, you want to focus on more of the adrenals. So maybe an adaptogen to start, something like ashwagandha can be really helpful. Tips for horrible period cramps. Passion flower, liquid passion flower by far. It's going to relax the smooth muscle more than anything else in terms of herbal things that you can do on the planet. Um, but yeah, it's figuring out why those cramps are occurring in the first place. Sometimes iodine can be very commonly deficient there. I would wonder if you have more excess hormonal things going on or more of a PCOS type of thing going on. Because that will tell me a little bit more on how to support some things here. But at the very least, you could do some Sasandra. That's an adaptogen that will convert things down hormonally, and passion flower to help the smooth muscle relax. So, wouldn't hurt to do some methylated B vitamins, but yes. Okay, so I want to quit drinking heavy beer drinker for 3 years. How bad do you think my liver is? No jaundice. Well, um, alcohol is probably one of the worst things you could do. It's sugar, very highly damaging, but your body can rebuild itself, especially the liver. You can do some milk thistle, some Sisandra, some dandelion root there, just to help a ton with. But you do want to boil off that ethanol that's in the tincture and supporting with a glandular of liver. So you could do liver glandular, you could do male glandular, depending on male, female, but links in bile there. You want to basically support, you want to eat the tissues that have an issue, right? If you have a tissue issue, you should eat that tissue. And aside from that, you want to help your body rebuild, which milk thistle will directly rebuild hepatocytes in the liver. You could literally click on the link in my bio, go to milk thistle. There's article links within all of those details. It'll take you right to PubMed and show you all the stuff I'm talking about on here. So I created those hyperlinks in there for a reason. But yeah, you wanna get some liver glandular, Sasandra, dandelion root, milk thistle, get some toxicity out of the body, rebuild new hepatocytes. So good question though. Pure gum, they just have good ingredients in there. I guess for people that maybe have a crowded mouth or crowded teeth things going on, you can get some food particles out. Also, getting some xylitol within that oral cavity can be very beneficial, especially for bad breath and things like that. Gas pains. You want to push some of that out of the body. I mean, cutting out gluten and dairy is probably going to be the biggest things that will change that. Um, but relax powder, so magnesium citrate powder, I would get some of that from the website there, and digestion glandular along with. I would probably just start with those two. Start with those two. Relax powder and digestion glandular, so that you get the organ meats associated with the tissues that are having an issue, right? And then the magnesium citrate to pull a bunch of water in and to release gas. So not just gas, but stool too. But gas will be a big part of it. You'll feel bubbly before it starts happening there. So if you need me to slow down on some of those names, let me know. After virus have no taste, what can help please? You got to rebuild that immune response. I would do some NATO kinase. I would want to know where your vitamin D is, but turkey tail and reishi mushroom there too. So what can help some kidney nephritis? Nettle leaf and albizia will help with dilation there. Maybe some cordyceps mushroom as well. Um, but inflammation in the kidney, you need to find out why. Mycotoxins are a huge reason. Also, excess sugars. The kidneys are a huge filtration organ. So if there's really any antigen that's coming into contact with those kidneys, you're going to have to filter that out. Commonly, mycotoxins will lead to a bunch of issues there. So, yeah. Um, but send me a message on here, or you could book a call right through the link in bio there. There's two microphones. That's true. You caught that, huh? I got YouTube over to my left here, so we're going back and forth. Keep the chats rolling as much as possible, huh? Yes, Miss Alicia, of course. But we do complimentary consults as well, so link in bio you can schedule. Help, Nocturia, it's so annoying. I would want to know where your sugars are at and where electrolyte intake is, to be quite honest. If those are in check, then possibly a blood pressure issue or your body's trying to filter something out. If you're a guy, there can be some prostate connections here too. So it kind of depends. Um, I would need to know a little bit more to hone this in for you. So, besides elderberry, what can boost the immune system up? I mean, that's pretty. I don't want you to think in that direction. I want you to think in if you're immunodeficient, what can normalize things? Because supplements won't give you a boost. It's just going to normalize it. So it's like, yeah, supplements can heal the heal time, speed up the heal time, but they're just going to normalize the heal time. So yeah, it's technically it's speeding it up, but um, where were we here? Yeah, the elderberry thing, echinacea, astragalus, vitamin D, different medicinal mushrooms there too. What is good to help get rid of heavy metals? Supporting the liver, probably the biggest thing, as well as like ACZ zeolite and chlorella or spirulina. Those are just my favorites. I don't know. I've never done a liver transplant. Not eating sugar, electrolytes are good. I do have Hashimoto's, so there's an autoimmune reaction going on here. And I mean, the majority of autoimmune thyroid issues are from immune triggers, and a lot of it has to do with your GI. And if there's yeast overgrown in the GI, there can very well be other fungal opportunistic infections too, or other forms of toxicity there. Mold being a huge one, and that's going to affect your kidneys like crazy. So that's kind of where the flags are in the air for me. That's where I would want to start looking. Okay, I'm going to do one more halftime here, and then I'll be back. So I'll be back in like freaking 2 minutes. Give me a sec. Okie dokie. We're back. We are back. So let's see. Let's see what we have here. Okay, I'm gonna get to the TikTok ones. I'm just seeing what's over on YouTube here. Thanks, Derek. Hello, hello. How we doing over on YouTube? What gut issues can cause lupus? Anything inflammatory going on? That's an autoimmune issue. So it's going to be different for everyone in terms of it can be food related, it can be opportunistic infections, can be um, some immune suppressive effects there paired with the autoimmunity. So there's a couple things. Okay. Hello from San Francisco. Somebody says cilantro. Nice. Honestly not a big fan of cilantro taste, to be quite honest. Uh, thank you. You're welcome. Hypothyroidism. Endo only checks TSH. You want to know antibodies. You want to know reverse T3. You want to know free and total amounts of T3 and T4 and T uptake. So there's a lot more to a full thyroid panel, and that can show you more of the causal factors occurring here, especially if the autoimmunity is present there. Then we have to look for chronic immune triggers on top of that, but all can be addressed. And really, when you figure out the T3 and T4, then you know how to dose some things. Like thyroid glandular will have T3 and T4 in there. Um, Iodine, selenium will help with the production there. Oh, that was tickling my throat the whole time. Okay. Mm, please help me out. Well, I didn't see any questions coming there from you. Um, I was told today I have to start tablets for B12 and get bloods checked again in 2 weeks. Any idea why? Can be just a deficiency going on there with some vitamin B12. Just please make sure that it's methylated, please. I don't want you taking cyanocobalamin. Very toxic to the body. And that's what most people are given. What gut issues is causing this pain in the upper right sensitive chest? So probably some gallbladder stimulation or issues there. You can do some gallbladder complex, dandelion root, maybe a little bit of milk thistle in there too. That way you help both the liver and the gallbladder stimulate things and move toxicity out of the body. So, but really good question. Yeah. But if this is a guy, Charlie asking, I'd assume it's a guy. Um, most guys, we eat ourselves into some issues there. So helping that gallbladder convert things through, helping the liver as well is going to do you some good. Certainly. Endo said, since my last TSH was 1.4, I didn't need to check T3 or T4. That's not true. TSH is a brain hormone, so it's not even a thyroid hormone. And I've seen it plenty of times where TSH is normal and you have 1,200 antibodies, and T3 is getting low, T4 is getting low. Even if you're not low yet in T3 and the brain hasn't responded yet, you could be getting low in T4. And that could be a deficiency developing 90 days from the from where you're at right now, if that's already getting low. So if T4 has been low, it's been low for 3+ months. What the man? Some of these comments on YouTube are pretty funny, but kind of crazy at the same time. Mm, mm. Man, what else we got here? Matthews. I don't know why you keep saying your own name. What the? Oh, yeah, great. Perfect. What the kind of questions are these, folks? Health questions. Health questions, my people. We're out of coffee now, so it's just water. Water the rest of the day. Is it TSH at 2.73? That's too high. And T4 of 13.3. Normal ranges. That TSH is a little too high for me. I would want to know where T3 is, and that'll probably explain why that's happening. Because you got to look at T3 and T4, active and inactive forms. That way you can see conversion of the thyroid hormones, and you're not just blindsided into just seeing the T4, which is inactive. So you can be low in T3 and not know that. But yeah, that's probably why TSH is starting to creep up. Oh, my goodness. Woo. Man, long live today. I'm doing as much of a marathon as I can till I got further calls and things. So shoot. I'm getting some calls right now. Okay. Well, hey, good stuff, people. Okay, wait. We got one more from Alicia. Thyroid peroxidase at 33. Yeah, you could be deficient in some selenium, and then you're having an immune response occur chronically. So you're chronically inflamed. Your body is now autoimmune, and that's autoimmune forever, but you can get the responses to calm down. So, again, working on inflammation, probably doing some selenium there, doing some albizia, some turmeric, and probably thyroid glandular in there as well. That way you can rebuild with those tissues and things. But I would want to test for food. I would want to test your GI so that we can figure out those immune triggers and get these responses back to normal. And you can have those antibodies go back to zero. So, doesn't mean you're not autoimmune though. Anyways, if I didn't get to your questions yet, send me a message on here. Obviously, if you're on TikTok, that's really easy. If you're on YouTube, send me an email. You have that as well. There's the link in bio if you want to schedule free complimentary consults or just jump right into care, booking new patient appointments. If you book during the live, it does slice $200 off the new patient appointment. So it's only $99 because you guys found me. So, um, or if I addressed your questions and you're just trying to start some supplementation and find a starting point, link in bio for the store as well. Both the same website. But all right, people, we did 100 minutes straight. So good, successful live. And I'll see you guys later on tonight. Peace out.